What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Flake Garage, where we do a lot of easy to follow tutorials, show mini trucks, and also mod some other cool cars like my friends Joe, 4Runner here. And today we're going to be installing the TRD Pro Valance, kind of like we did with the front. This time we're going to be doing the rear bumper. And it's going to be a similar process. We have to take the bumper off, cut some of the markings that come already OEM from factory on it. And then we're also going to be doing a Mudflap Delete in here. Since we're already taking the whole bumper off, it makes sense. We're going to get rid of his mud flaps and then install some of the new parts in there. So we'll show you guys everything that we have, everything that's included in the kit, the Mudflap Delete that he got for it. And yeah, let's get right into it. All right, guys, and here we have the Valance. We haven't taken it out of the bag, but this is basically what comes with the package when you buy it. It's going to be just the Valance itself when you get it from Toyota. This is the OEM Valance. And then you do have to get this little retainer clips. Joe went and got them out of the Toyota dealership. We can put the part numbers in the description, guys, so don't forget to check it out there if you need them. But you will have to get several of these clips. I think right now we have about 30 clips just in case. This was some leftovers as well from when we did the front. But yeah, that should be plenty for right now to get this installed. So we're gonna start removing the bumper and getting that prepped up and then get this out of the packaging and everything so we can install it. All right, guys, and to remove your rear bumper is gonna be about 8 bolts right here on the top. They're gonna go all along the hatch here. And then you're gonna have to get underneath, and there's gonna be about 8 bolts as well. They're gonna be kind of all along the bumper as well. You have a push pin on this side. It might be kind of hard to see. You have to remove your mud flap first. There's going to be a push pin there, and you take all the bolts along the side. There's, I think, another push pin right here by where the tow hitch would be. Yes. Right there. All right, guys, and to remove your mud flap, you're going to have about 3 push pins and then about 4 bolts in place. There might be a 5th one somewhere in the back, but once you have to take all those bolts out of the way, and then you can remove your mud flap and then get access to some of those push pins. So let's get them out. All right, guys, so once you remove your mud flap, basically it just starts popping off. It's held in there with small little clips. So you should be able to just pull it out. Might give you some resistance, but once you start popping it off, it should be all right. Now, some of those little push pins on the bottom, we are having a hard time with the one here on the left side. I'm gonna go in here, try to help them out, see if we can get it out. But the one on the right side also did give me a hard time. So they're kind of hard to push out. They're basically held by 2 pieces of plastic. So it's kind of hard to get leverage on there. So just keep that in mind. I think Joe just broke that one right now. So keep that in mind, guys. You might have to replace those if you cannot get around it and you have to break them. Otherwise, everything else should come out fairly easy, I would think. So let's get the bumper out so we can put it here on our little table and start cutting what we need to cut out of it. All right, guys, and here we have the bumper and we're looking at the back of it, and hopefully you can see here there is the small little tabs kind of like we had on the front. You have 3 right here. There's going to be 1 on the very edge, and then there's going to have 2 on the bottom. There's about basically 4 along the bottom of it, 1 on each side, and then there's about 8 on the top, which those are going to be the ones that are going to be a little bit hard to get to just because of the shape of the bumper. Also, another thing, you do need to take this little piece. So you have 2 clips here, kind of push pins, and then you have 2 other ones that are holding it in place here. Once you take those off, you should be able to remove this piece, which you do need to remove it because the new one is going to cover this and is going to use those push pins to be locked in place as well. So we are now basically ready to get the Dremel out and start trying to cut that out. Hopefully we're able to cut it fine without messing up too much. We think this top section is going to be a little bit hard to get to just because of the shape of the Dremel and the bumper. So let's try it. Let's do it. Remember, guys, safety first. And then Brian got cool safety on right now.
I don't have any clears.
All right, guys, so we're using our Dremel. It's a Dremel 3000 like we used in our other video. And he just got a small cutting wheel in there. So we'll start going to it.
I'm just mucking them right now.
guys, and most of the cuts you're gonna be able to do with the bumper upside down, basically from the back. But because of the shape of the Dremel and where this one is, for this one, we basically had to flip it around and cut. But when you're doing the cuts here, make sure you're doing the bigger cut towards the inside of the bumper, towards the middle of the car, because if you do it on the other side, it's basically this side is going to be more visible because the balance basically ends right there. So if you do it towards the inside, that's going to be hidden, and then you're not going to be able to see it once the balance is on there. So you can see here we did it on the other side as well. We have to do it kind of the opposite way. So we clean this out. It's nice and clean on this side, but basically the bigger cut is this way. So that shouldn't affect anything. We're going to put the clips in there that come with the balance anyways. But at least once it's on, you're not going to be able to see any cuts on this side. So we're pretty much ready to go here. We're going to start putting the balance in place and putting the clips in there. All right, guys, Brian here is doing the last little cleanup here before we put the balance in place, but everything is looking good. And we're going to get our clips ready and slap the balance in place. And basically, you're going to be able to just put the bumper back on and you should be done. So let's do it. All right, guys, and there, real quick, since we are basically putting everything back together now, this is the Mudflap Delete. It's basically a piece that's going to replace your factory mudflap, so we don't have it sticking down. And that one comes with 3 extra clips that we're going to use instead of the factory ones. These are a little bit thicker. They're going to hold it in place a little bit better. So we need to make sure you put those in there, and then you're going to reuse the same bolts that you did from your factory one. So you're getting rid of this ones basically and replacing them with this, and then putting this factory bolts back in place. All right, guys, and everything is put back together. Don't forget you got about 8 bolts on the top, 8 bolts on the bottom. You will have some leftover bolts if you are doing the Mudflap Delete like we did. You're gonna have about 3 bolts per side plus those little push pins. And the reason why is because the new Mudflap Delete takes only 2 bolts versus 5, I believe, and then has brand new push pins in place. So you're basically replacing that hardware. You don't have to worry about that. But I mean, look at that. It looks pretty good. It looks great. It follows the contour line all the way around. I do wish it had 1 extra support back here for one of those bolts. I think that would have made it a little bit more stable. But I mean, it's not really going anywhere. So that's looking great. We have the new balance, and it looks pretty sweet. It follows everything OEM, fits great. As you can see, the reason why we told you to make sure you're cutting towards the inside is so you don't see anything here. And look at that, it looks perfect. We can look here at the other side as well. Same thing, fits perfect. The OEM clips hold it in place, and it's not gonna move anywhere from there. It looks great. I'm gonna show you here the other side as well for the Mudflap Delete. Everything is looking good. We have the new push pins, the bolts in place. So it's looking good. So there you have it, guys. That's how you install the TRD Pro Balance on a SR5 4Runner. The whole process is pretty straightforward. The most tedious part is going to be just basically first unbolting your factory bumper and then just doing the cuts in there with the Dremel. After you get that done, everything else goes back into place just the way it should be, and you are basically left with a pretty nice TRD Pro style on the back of your SR5 or any other truck for that matter. So that's all we have for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like or subscribe button. and we'll see you guys on the next video. Bye.